Welcome to the Spark Me podcast. I'm Liz Graham.
And I'm Michelle Dempsey. And today we're doing another segment that we're calling Spark Me Shorts or Spark Shorts. We're not sure yet. But I think we're going to call it Spark Shorts. And today we're going to talk about the importance of friendships in the second act of life, and what it means to have them, and why it is so important to living a long life. Right, Liz?
That's right. I think it was Chrissy Holmes's episode where we talked a little bit about friendships in the second act. And I was recently listening to another podcast, and they were doing a list of the items that you need to have a happy life. And one of the items that they talked about was friendships. And I found it so interesting that way back when the philosopher Aristotle had a theory on friendships. And Aristotle thought that there were three types of friendships. There's the friendships of utility. And those are people that you're friends with for a reason. Like your kids might be friends, and so your school mom friends, or your gym buddy friends, and you go to the gym together. And when you stop going to the gym, the friendship sort of fades away. And so those are friendships of utility. And then the second type of friendship, according to Aristotle, is friendships of pleasure. These are people that you go out for girls' night out, and you all, enjoy drinking red wine, or, um, you love going to Broadway shows. And so you have this friend that you go to Broadway shows with. And so the friendship is based on the pleasurable activity that you all are doing. And when that activity goes away, the friendship fades away. But the third and final type of friend, according to Aristotle, and this is the most important type of friend, is the friend of virtue. This is considered the perfect friendship. And these are friends who love each other for their own sake and wish them well. They're always supporting each other. And they also want to give feedback, not mean feedback, but sort of positive, constructive feedback to help each other grow. And so these friendships, they're not stagnant. You literally are pushing each other to be better versions of yourself. And these friendships, they grow over time, they're much rarer, and they have like a very enduring quality to them. And it was these friendships of virtue, or the perfect friendship, these were found to be the secret to a happy life. If you have one, two, or three of these friends in your life, you are likely to be a happy person. And so I started, when I listened to this podcast, categorizing in my mind my friendships. And honestly, I have all three categories, and I just never thought about them in this way. And I'm just wondering, is that something that, you've ever realized, Michelle, or thought about?
What I have realized and thought about is how important my friendships are to me and have always been. And I when you're talking about those friendships of virtue, I feel very blessed to have really solid virtuous friends. Is that what we call them? Right? Okay. Um, the some, many of them in different who come from different parts of life, right? Like we have our younger years, like, and maybe a lot of people have the friends that have been with them since grade school or high school, right? Or those really formative college years. But they're also, I think, it's not like virtuous friends, in the way you're describing it, are limited to those times of life that you have to have been friends for 30 or 40 years. I think I've been lucky enough to have created some of those, in later life, or maybe what we call second act, or certainly adulthood, So I think they can come at any time, but certainly it's like, who would Okay, so it's so funny that you're talking about this, Liz, that you chose to bring up this topic, and because I was running today and I was listening to a TEDx talk by a woman. I can't remember her name, but we'll put it in the notes. And she was talking about like how if the people are most likely to live past 100, and how it she's like, and the factors they studied, and it's different than the Harvard study, which I know of as well. But this one, they were saying like, what are the factors that really will lead to a long life? And she's like, you'll be maybe some of you will be happy to know it's not necessarily what you're eating or if you're working out. She's like, actually, if you get your flu shot is even like more indicative of than some other like than I guess exercise. But she said the number one predictor wasn't just the deep friendships, what you're calling the virtuous friendships, and she had another name for them, but it's like the person who would loan you money or would be sitting by your bed if you were sick, right? The person who's going to be with you through thick and thin and all the things you described. She's like, there's a second category, which maybe the other two groups a little bit, but it's called social integration. Like it's the barista that you talk to every day. It's the mailman. It's the book club. It's, you know, these sort of social interactions that we have on a daily basis. And if you have a lot of those in your life, that actually that also increases your chances of living longer. I don't know if I'm relating that to happiness as much, but they must have some sort of integration here
Totally.
because they, you know, th those are the biggest factors of living longer. So it always seems to come down to relationships and specifically friendships.
It does, and I think that that connection is so critical. I mean, there's another study that, we'll put in the show notes that talks about workplace happiness. And they surveyed all these different things like what your salary is, what your, passion for the work is, all of these things. And they found that the one thing that determined if somebody was happy at work is if they had a friend,
A work friend.
a
Mm,
work friend. And
yes.
isn't that interesting how in every aspect of your life, whether it's stopping off at the local coffee shop or the person that you call at 6:30 in the morning because you're up and you need to vent about something, um, those all are critically important to living a longer life and hopefully living a happier life.
Absolutely. And just to mention that Harvard study again, and we'll put that in the show notes. We're gonna put everything in the show notes because I know me, I like take like the big broad idea of all these things, right? Kind of like what did I take from it? What did I learn from it? But the Harvard study I know, um, it followed a cohort over I think 70 years, if I'm not
Yeah, it's the
mistaken.
longest, living study,
Yeah.
that's ever been done.
And it was sort of the same thing, kind of like it's relationships. That's what was the biggest predictor of those who lived the longest and had the happiest life over that time. Um, and I think that's like it really says something. And so how do you again, and I don't think it's quantity because I know women have generally more friendships than men. I think it's the quality of the relationships.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think it's hard, like, as women, when women are really in the thick of it with raising kids and building their careers and, in the beginning of their relationship with their spouse, whatever it might be, I think sometimes they put friendships to the side.
yeah,
And I think the one thing that women as they age have is they have that ability to say, "You know what? I'm gonna prioritize my friendships in this next act."
it's one of my most important parts of my life right now, because just being able to reach out and say, I have, a couple groups of very good friends who we have the text because we don't all live in the same place, right? So we connect via text and there's always like, hey, I've got this mom issue or I've got this work issue or here's something and we talk about it, but nothing replaces that getting together. Like the text is great and it's nice to have and it's like it's something, but I really make the effort, and my friends do too, to get together as many times a year as we can in person, to be sitting around the table and having those laughs and sharing that stuff in person, where the conversations can get so much deeper and so much realer. And a little bit of what we try to bring here, right? Just because so much comes out of that. And just to go back, Liz, this is part of what the community that we want to create eventually is so that we can have those conversations and form some of those second neck friendships that I think are clearly important to life and our quality of life and happiness and living longer. So I hope we get to
Absolutely.
make that over time. So reaching out again, I was sort of to our listeners here. What do you think? Do you think that your friendships an important part of your life? Do you think it makes a difference in terms of your happiness and potentially longevity of life? We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any stories, sparkmepodcasts@gmail.com. Let us know what role friendships have played in your life,
And
especially
let
as
it and tell us a story about your best friend. We would
yeah,
love to learn about your best friend. So
yeah,
write us an email and tell us about your best friend. Who knows? Maybe your best friend may become a guest on the Spark Me podcast.
absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to hear your stories about how your friendships have been such a meaningful part of your life, especially now. And how maybe they've grown. And whether it's a new friendship or one that goes way back to longer ago than we care to admit. We'd love to hear your stories. So
Well,
please share.
Michelle, I am really glad you're my friend. Let me just say that.
Oh, Liz, me too. Right here.
Yeah. I know if I were really cooler, I would know how to make a heart with
Yeah,
my
let's do it.
hands
Let's
or
do it.
something, but I'm clearly not.
You
I'm clearly
guys.
not that cool.
I think you're cool. How about that? All right. Thanks, everyone.